Just like a child, I made my way the way you gave me. Went into war against myself to ease the pain that overcame me. And through the mud, you charged my blood with priceless visions to sustain me. You gave yourself without reserve. You gave more life than I deserve. You picked me up and threw me down. You made me senses come around. You taught me little feet to walk. You took me by your little hand. You brought me here to stand alone. You brought me here, so here I am.
It really affected me, and I could not be funny for weeks and weeks.
I can understand that. I think that I mean, comedy's really come into helping us all therapeutically get through this.
It was non-existent for a week. Nobody knew what to make fun of.
Were you a poet also?
I have written poetry in my life, but it's mostly to the girls I wanted to sleep with. I came up, afterwards I started thinking about it, and I wasn't so much interested in doing humor as satire and irony. I do a newsletter on the internet. It started on the internet. I'm now 50 jokes every 10 days. It's called Poor Lou's Almanac, and I'm at 291 issues.
Where on the internet?
Ludeck.com, Ludeck.us, Ludeck.biz are my websites. I only keep a portion of them. Should anybody be interested, you can send me an email from any of those sites, and I would reply with the book, because I only keep each newsletter up for a couple of weeks at a time, and then I put an audio version up. Now I'm out on tour doing a live comedy version of the Almanac, and but I mean, I found things to say.
Can you give us a sample of what's in the Almanac?
Well, my first headline was, you know how in the Beetle Bailey cartoon that when the Sarge curses at Beetle, they put up the punctuation marks and the curve percentage thing for curse words?
Yeah.
So I had that for those the bastards. And that was my only title. Next week the headline was, the Taliban don't surf.
The Taliban don't surf.
The next week after there was the anthrax thing, it was in Cipro we trust. Well, those were just the major headlines. The headline of the Almanac this week is Sodom Law Overturned. So there's a whole lot of difference between a verbal joke that you would tell your friends, there's a joke you would tell on stage, and something you would print in a news format. And geez, I've been a live comic for 25 years. Until just 3 or 4 years ago, I've never done any print in my life. But it turns out I learned how to type in the 60s. I took a typing class in high school, all girls and me. Slept with a teacher. And he was a real nice guy. No, I'm just kidding.
And
I'm
you're,
originally from Georgia, so
oh, really?
here in Kentucky, I know you're close to what the North and the South separates from, but I think of Kentucky as part of the South.
Yes, me too.
Yes. And it's mostly not particularly who fought for who or against what, but how the folks act. And nobody that has as much hospitality and friendliness like they do here in Louisville and in most of Kentucky could be anything but Southern.
Do you ever do jokes about Southern people, or
I talk about specifically being from Georgia.
what's that?
You want a joke?
Yeah,
okay,
sure.
Well, lately I'm from Atlanta. I ask the audience, have you ever been to Atlanta? And not many have, so I say, have you ever heard of Atlanta? And I go, hey, we had the Olympics. Only one Bob. But no, I left Georgia in 71 after I got out of the Navy. The racism was too much for me.
Really?
We just had a governor named Lester Maddox who went to 6 months into his term, went to the congressional cafeteria in Washington, D.C. and handed out axe handles, symbolic of beating blacks. And I was so disgusted.
Oh, wow, I
picked
never
everything
even...
up I had and left the state. Went to Texas to go to school.
And then they flipped you out to Los Angeles? Or?
Well, no, I was the first triple communications major, radio, TV, and film in the University of Texas history. But then remember, this was 1972. It's before it's the single most popular major in America today. So there's going to be a lot of interns out there. But no, and so that during that public access came in. Oh, my public access story. According to the Communications Act of the United States of 1974. Cable companies with more than 22,000 subscribers have to provide a channel for the public to create their own entertainment and informational networks. That's public access as we know today. I was currently a student at the University of Texas in 1974. We had a friend that was a legal student, and he interpreted that we could sue the local cable company. They gave us $3 million. In 1974, that's a lot of money. We bought 200 Portapacks, Sony Portapacks. And the deal was, you want to make a TV show, you sign the document, here's the Portapack, bring us back 30 minutes of tape. We got more than 200 broken Sony Portapacks brought back to us. People would point them at the sun, they'd play basketball with them, they'd put them through the garbage disposal. And so we had to start again, and we started sending one person that knew how to operate the equipment out and who could speak and kind of host their show. After I did 4 or 5 of those, we did a show. It was a new law in Texas in 1975 that if you produced power, the power company had to pay for it. So the electrical engineers fraternity had a contest where 5 teams ran around the campus for an hour, did a kind of a scavenger hunt deal, and then started building windmills on the top of their dormitory, and who could get their windmill to produce power first, and the power company had to put a line in the next day to buy the power at the 10 amps they were producing. I made a show of that. They asked me to be very sarcastic. I was. And somebody called me and said, I got a oh gosh. I was about to say comedy troupe. He said, I have a ballet and mime troupe, and I need a comedy MC. I said, look, I'm a journalist. He says, we do 3 shows a week. I'll pay you $50 a show. I said, I'm a comic. And I've never looked back. But I started in public access. When I got to Los Angeles, I got a job at the Comedy Store. I had the first comedy public access show on the Los Angeles cable station for 5 years. And I did it because I figured out they had a data channel. Like Channel 1 would just run letters and numerals and stuff explaining the program guide. And my partner and I figured out that if we got spot number 1, our name, just the letters of it, would be on TV 4 hours a day in Los Angeles.
Wow.
So we just did it from that angle, but it turned out to be kind of Monty Python-ish crazy comedy. We had a blues song. The opening line to our blues song was some of our best friends are deaf. And the other song ended with me hitting him in the head and breaking the guitar. I broke 40 guitars with this guy in 3 years and only put him in the hospital a couple times. We're crazy. We're not that funny. But yet, 4 years later, Johnny Carson walked up to me at the Comedy Store and says, I know you, you're him. I said, what? Well, what do you mean? He says, you're the guy that hits the little guy with the guitar in the head every week.
So Johnny had been watching your public access show.
It only through the sheer done of repetition. Right? We did a 30 minutes.